Welcome to Beans and Breakdowns, a podcast dedicated to bridging the gap between specialty coffee and the heavy music community. Today on the podcast, I'm joined by Finnbar Connell, the drummer for Scottish hardcore band Below the Neck. Below the Neck, although relatively new, have really been grinding recently, releasing new music and even releasing their own coffee blend. So I definitely had to sit down and learn some Scottish hardcore and talk about some coffee. So grab a fresh cup of coffee and wake the fuck up! What's going on, Caffeinated Crew? I'm here with Finnbar Connell of the band Below the Neck. Finnbar, how's it going today, man?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. It's early for me. It's a moderate, I think, afternoon for you.
A lovely 2:00 in the afternoon for me. Yeah.
So it's about time for that like second or third cup of coffee, I think.
I have a small child, so talk 5th, 6th, 7th, maybe.
That's great. What are you drinking today?
So I am as on brand as I can possibly be, drinking the Below the Neck blend that my band and I worked with a local roastery on. So it's a nice Colombian hula with a little bit of Malabar, just to give it a bit of smokiness. So it's quite fruity. It's nice. It's really, I love it. So I created it with them. So yeah, it's good.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's fucking great. I love it when a band does their own local collab. So, props to you guys for that for sure.
What have you got in your cup today?
In my cup today, I am drinking something called Kerinci Honey. It's a Sumatra Indonesian. It's by a company from Houston called Greenway Coffee Company. And it's got some nice notes. I don't drink a lot of Sumatras, but this one's got upside down cake.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then pineapple upside down cake and some plum. Definitely a lot of plum because of the, Sumatras are just known for that stone fruity kind of.
That sounds good though. Sounds tasty.
It's pretty good. It's not as dark as what I'm used to for Sumatras, which is good for me because I cannot drink anything more than like a medium roast.
Yeah, totally. I get you there. Yeah.
So is Inverness you guys' home shop? I know that's who y'all collabed with on that coffee.
Yeah, so Inverness Roasting Company, they're like it's like a couple started it a couple of years ago, and they've basically just like source beans that they like and bring them over and they roast them in-house. And it's just like, it's about a mile, 2 kilometers away from my house, basically, which is pretty cool. They like got to go in and see it, and they have like the roasting like vat type thing in there, and they just roast it all and then back it up, and they've got a small store in town as well. Mm-hmm. We can go in and have a coffee and stuff. But they're really great people, really nice, I think there's maybe another roastery here. Or at least there's another sort of like small shop called Grain and Grind, which is, I could throw a stone at from my house. It's like even closer. But they're really cool as well. I was in there this morning actually, getting some stuff. So yeah, there's coffee culture is kind of like, the UK is always catching up with everywhere else, especially like, across in Canada and America, but we're getting there. It's quite good. It's nice.
Yeah, I know when I was talking to some of the Dead Skull guys and, they were like, there's coffee here, but it's different. Like, it's not kind of the same. You can find like hipster coffee, in London, but in the rest of the UK, I'd imagine.
There's definitely places, but yeah, it's not as pervasive.
In like every smaller town, you might find like maybe one, specialty coffee shop that's roasting and doing something unique and special. But for the most part, it's a lot of Starbucks and a lot of Tim Hortons. Yeah. Which you can take it or leave it, whatever you want to do with it. But
hey, I drink a lot of Starbucks personally because we've got a drive-through. I don't know. Do you guys have Costa over there at all?
No, we don't.
No, it's probably some subsidiary of somebody else, but Costa is really big in the UK. It's like Costa and Starbucks are like the two biggest sort of chains. But I definitely prefer Starbucks just for ease drive through in the morning, that sort of stuff. But yeah, getting a nice cup of coffee is nice.
Yeah, Starbucks is very accessible and it's very, easy and what they have. But then every once in a while, I tell people branch out, look out, see what's out there. Because it might change your life.
Exactly. You might end up being a bit of a coffee wanker, and that's fine.
Exactly. Which is what happened to me. So now I'm the worst of them. So working with Inverness Roasting Company, you said that you were able to kind of pick the beans or the taste, and what was that process like, making that coffee?
Yeah, well, I mean, initially I went to them because they do like local delivery around the area, and I got like a big tasting pack for my Christmas for my wife, and it was like 6 different packs of stuff, and I just thought, no bands around here are doing coffees, and I love coffee, so why not? So I just emailed them, and they were like, "Oh yeah, sounds like a cool idea. Let's come up with something." So I actually visited their roasting house, and we tried like a bunch of different coffees, just like espressos, to see how they were, kind of like what I liked, and I gave them ideas of what I was really looking for. And they sent me away with some coffee to like have a tasting session with the rest of the band. Because of COVID, we only I could be in at the time, sort of thing, and stuff like that. So then me and the guitarist of my band, Connor, we just sat drinking espressos. We had like 12, and it was between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock at night. And he said literally when he was walking home, he couldn't even taste the cigarette he was smoking. Like he was just like so buzzed on coffee. I'm like,
mouth is coated in coffee.
Absolutely destroyed. Yeah. And like we were washing down with water in between and stuff like that, just to, so we could take notes and things like that.
Cleanse the palate.
Yes, just a bit. But I mean, yeah, we kind of like took those notes, got in touch with the company, and just sort of said, this is what we're looking for. And we've got like other ideas for other blends down the line that kind of tie in with some of the, like one song in particular we're releasing probably first half of next year. It's just a very, very dark roast because it fits the track name. So,
right.
But it's just like the ideas were there, and just like immediately talking to them. And they were so hospitable as well. They're really nice to talk to. And it's been such a great process to work with them. And they do small batch, so it's ideal for a band. You don't want to have thousands of bags of coffee,
right?
When you're a small touring band in Scotland. So it was a really good process. They're really helpful, really nice. So I honestly had the best time doing it. So it was great.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I know that I was reading a bit about the coffee company, like on the on their website.
Yeah,
and it looks like it's like kind of a mom and pop, just a couple that likes coffee and roast their own coffee. So I was super excited that you guys were able to work with them and that they were able to work with you, because I don't know how into like hardcore music they are. So,
they're not.
Yeah, so
I was trying to explain that. I was like, oh yeah, we're very heavy, because a lot of people ask, oh, so what's it you play? And I feel like just saying, oh, we play like heavy music, and they think, oh, cool, like Black Sabbath, and I'm like, a bit heavier than that,
a little bit,
just a bit, yeah. But they were like, all right, okay, well, we like ABBA and stuff, and it was like Heather, the woman that one of the people that run it, she was like so nice. She's like, I don't know what you guys sound like, but you're really nice, so we'll work on this and it'll be great. So, and as I said, it was great. There was no judgment, like, because we're a heavy band, etc., which was nice. So it was good. I think it's that case of, I just reached out and I asked the question, and I can only be told no.
Exactly.
So what's the worst that can happen?
Yes.
So yeah, it's cool.
Exactly. That's really, really great. So I got to order some of that soon. Some of that below the neck blend.
Well, I'll hook you up. I'll sort it out for you.
Yeah, I'll pay whatever I have to in shipping.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be not a small amount, but we'll figure it out. I'll talk to you after the podcast. That's right.
Sounds good. We'll move into some of the music now. What are 3 bands that got you into hardcore?
That's a tough one, because my sort of journey into hardcore kind of happened in 2 phases. So I was born in 1990. So I became a teenager when screamo was the sickest thing ever, and it was the best. And like early actual metalcore. So stuff like Poison the Well, which they're one of my favorite bands of all time. Every Time I Die, shout out their new album. Jesus Christ, it's so good. But like they're like another like band I absolutely love. Got into them, loved music, and then I totally fell out of it. And then in 2014, when Code Orange released I Am King, I heard it and I was like, what the actual fuck is this? This is the most insane thing I've ever heard. And I literally listened to the song on repeat for 10 days, like all just on repeat. So I was in work and I hated my job at the time. And I had to do some crap digitization job. So I just listened to it repeatedly.
Right.
And then I thought I need to see them live. And they were playing in Glasgow, which in Scotland, if you're not from Scotland, Glasgow is the only place that exists, apparently. So they were playing there. And I went to the show. It was like cheap as in. It was like $5 to get into the show.
What the
and
fuck?
I got absolutely killed at it. Absolutely destroyed. I'd never really done a hardcore show before. And I got absolutely battered. Like so bad. I couldn't straighten my arm for like 6 months. But I was like, this was great. And I was like, what's wrong with me? And then I just sort of started getting back into music, and then found my way into the local music scene. And then, just started a hard rock band. And then that fizzled out. So joined up with a bunch of guys from like a Biffy Clyro tribute band, basically. And I mean, that's actually really unfair. They're not a Biffy tribute, but they're a really good band. But there's like sort of like alt rock and then a bunch of guys from a pop punk band. And then we created this like really heavy hardcore, metalcore masquerading as hardcore band.
Yeah.
But like, and then since then I've just sort of dived deeper and deeper and deeper. And yeah, I just love it. It's great. I only really listen to aggressive music at any point of the day. I just drink coffee all day. I listen to aggressive music all day. I have no chill.
That's just like an emotional overload all day, like a what is it? A sensory overload.
Sensory overload all day. Yeah, no. And then I threw a kid into the mix, and it's been absolutely even more insane.
Yeah, so, that's just like take it to another level.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
That's awesome that because that's very similar to the time that I was getting into, hardcore. And I remember that screamo, like what we called screamo back then, is now more like melodic hardcore, or like, I don't know how you would even call it now, but those bands,
definitely melodic hardcore now.
Those are legendary. Sasscore.
Yeah.
Those are legendary bands now, though. Like Every Time I Die, of course. And where I'm from, they're even bigger because being from Georgia, Every Time I Die is like the biggest fucking band. Everybody's favorite band is Every Time I Die.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
and Poison the Well. Poison the Well was really big, even though I got into the scene after they had kind of fizzled a bit. Like they had moved on to other things, but they were still big with a lot of like the melodic hardcore bands, like bands that sounded like Have Heart in my scene.
Yeah, totally.
So, I love that. So Every Time I Die, the three bands are Every Time I Die, Poison the Well, and then Code Orange. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like just the best stuff. Like each band, when I first heard them, to be that idiot, that annoying guy. When I first heard them, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was the best. But it's like totally true. Like I think it was, what track would it have been? It's something off of Tear from the Red. It was the first thing that came out from Tear from the Red by Poison the Well, which I've forgotten the name of because this is what happens. I actually met Jeff from Poison the Well because they played in my home city, which is weird.
That's crazy.
A long time ago. And I couldn't remember anything to talk to him about. I was like, I really like your band, but I literally am blanking on everything. Botchla, that's the name of the track. Botchla, off of Tear from the Red. When I first heard that, I was like, yo, this is dope. This is so good. And then Every Time I Die, it was a track they did with Gerard Way. And then, hearing I Am King by Code Orange just blew my tits off, honestly.
That was like a game changer. Moving from, your introduction to hardcore, the latest tour that you guys have been kind of doing, I saw that you have some shows that y'all have been playing around the Scotland area. What has that experience playing shows been like in more of a post-COVID environment?
It's been strange but good as well. Like it's been great getting back out and seeing our friends. Because I mean, Scotland's like it's a small country with like about 6 million, 7 million people. That's probably wrong, and everyone will shout at me. But it's like it's a small scene, but there's not a whole bunch of like people doing like heavier music. So like we've got friends, and it's like great to see them for the first time in 2 years. And we live like 3 hours apart. It's like it's not that far, right. But it's just like it's so great to just like hang out and watch them shout at me and stuff. Like it's the best. Like I love it. So that was great. We did like a couple of shows in Scotland, and then we also went and did shows in England for the first time. England's much bigger than Scotland. It's joined in, so you can just drive down. And we were lucky enough to sort of hitch up with another band for both legs, so the Scottish and the English leg. And they're a band called Skin of the Snake, and they do like a lot more sort of traditional heavy hardcore stuff.
Okay.
And they're just brutal, and they're so good. Like they're absolute dudes. Their stuff on Spotify doesn't do them justice, which is really frustrating. But like they are killer live, like really good band. So it was great to play like a different country for the first time. And there's like the COVID regulations are different between England and Scotland. So in England you don't have to wear a mask to go into a venue or anything like that. Where in Scotland, like you need to wear a mask unless you are dancing or drinking, which is so silly. Like,
how does that even make sense?
Exactly. Oh, you've got a drink in your hand. No, you're far less dangerous.
No, you're flailing about. Like, you're not dangerous.
You're breathing harder.
Yes,
you're not dangerous. Yeah, exactly.
And sweating.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been strange in that regard. I think it took some of the guys in the band a bit longer to get used to that level of kind of laissez-faire attitude in places.
Carelessness, maybe?
Almost carelessness. I mean, none of us got COVID. We all got sick, but none of us got COVID.
That's just normal tour sickness.
Exactly. I know, right? A few of my friends have got COVID, and some of them have had long COVID stuff that sucks. Like one has like this issue where she can, like, everything she smells or tastes just smells like rot. And it's like, I can't remember what it's called. It's got a weird name, but it affects like so many people with long COVID.
Yeah.
So like literally anything tastes or smells awful. And I'm like, that sounds like pretty much the worst thing ever.
That's fucked.
Yeah. So, but I mean, touring was fun. It was great to get back out. Like, it's just strange how much I like just being in a car or a van and just driving around.
Yeah.
Trying not to fall asleep. At fucking 4 a.m, trying, to get back home to be able to take my son to the childminder the next day, or daycare, and it's wild. It's cool. Like it's a lot of fun. Yeah. So we had a great time.
That's great. And you guys had a great turnout for those shows?
We had a pretty good. I mean, we're a relatively small band. We had surprisingly good turnouts, is what I would say, especially for a first time out of the country. We had people coming to see us that we didn't know and weren't there to see any other bands, which was like the first time for that. It was really cool. It was just, yeah. I mean, the thing is, we broke even, or like made money on these shows.
That's what matters for real. That's how you judge it. Yeah.
as long as I don't lose money, I don't care. Like I would play to 5 people. I play at 500. I'm the same. I still do the same things when I'm playing.
Right.
I still want to absolutely just kill the show, have a great time. And then I'll still be standing front and center, getting the shit kicked out of me by other people, loving the band and just like geeing up the other drummers and stuff. I'm like the soccer mom of Scotland's drummers. I'm always like, you can do it. You're doing great. I love it.
That's new.
Yeah. But it was coined on this run, and I was like, oh yeah, pretty much. Like I just love getting involved. I love having a good time and stuff like that. Music's just my thing. Yeah. So I love it, man. It's the best.
I love the soccer mom analogy, because every scene needs one of those. Like every hardcore scene, everywhere you are, like regionally, needs some dude hyping up every single person. Like I love that shit. What is? I'm pretty ignorant to Scottish culture, as are 98% of all North Americans. And I know that here, like in Canada and in the US, every state and even city has their own style of like scene. It's really interesting, and it's so big, so every scene is different. What is the scene in Scotland like?
Well, it's kind of interesting actually, because like Glasgow specifically is it's very much a cultural hub for Scotland, in terms of that's like the big city where everything happens. But it has a very good hardcore scene, like insanely good bands. So there's a couple of bands. Revulsion are exceedingly good. Like, I saw them. They supported Higher Power and Vane when they were doing a tour.
Yeah, I saw that tour here.
Yeah,
it was sick. It was sick.
Absolutely so good. With Narrowhead as well, which is like so strange. But Revulsion are like way heavier, and it was just intense. And they're excellent. Revolve are another one. I think they're still going, but there is definitely the Glasgow hardcore scene. Like, everyone's in a couple of bands, so I'm never sure
like who's in which band.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, there is a scene outside of that. There's like one or two bands that do like hardcore in different places. Like, we've got friends called Bitterwood, and they're from Aberdeen, which is like a 2-hour drive away from us. And they've been killing it recently. They're like such a good band. Like, they do a lot of like anime like music videos.
Oh yeah, cool.
Of their stuff, but it's like got over quite big on Slam Worldwide and stuff like that.
You say Bitterwood?
Bitterwood, yeah.
Oh shit, yeah. Okay, yeah. I knew that name sounded familiar. I've seen like on Hardcore Keem or something like that. Like, he's reacted.
Yeah, definitely. And they're like super nice guys. They're really funny. And we've played like a bunch of shows with them. There's like us from Inverness, and there are loads of other ones around, but it's still like a really sporadic scene. Like, there's not really like a big scene outside of Glasgow.
Okay.
And then everyone else is kind of like, it's no clique hardcore. I like to think of it as like everyone's just having a good time.
Right.
And there's like some sick bands, and there's just great bands everywhere, obviously. But yeah, Glasgow's it's quite hard place to break into, I think. At least has been historically. But you've got Hate 56. Sonny obviously does the best work.
Yes.
For music videos and shooting live stuff. There's a guy in the UK called Ditan Videos. It's David Tan, and he's based in like Edinburgh / Glasgow.
Oh yeah, I watched all of his Outbreak Fest videos.
Yeah, right. So he's in a couple of recent bands called like Afterburn and Slow Move. Afterburn's like good old hardcore, like sort of New York hardcore vibe. Yeah. And Slow Move's like just old school emo, like so good. But like we've done loads of stuff with him. He's like really cool. So I think like, if he's filming you, you're a part of the scene, is the way I like to think of it. But yeah, it's cool. Definitely like England's got a much better and probably more active scene for especially hardcore. But yeah, outside of that, everywhere's got something, you know. And just finding venues is the hard part sometimes to actually host shows. Luckily, I book for a venue, so I'm like, yeah, I'll put the show on. I don't care. It's great. Yeah, just tell the venue owner, if they're beating each other up, it's fine. They mean to do it. It's cool.
So everyone listening, if you're touring Scotland, hit up Finnbar and he'll book you.
Yeah, basically. in so much, if I can make it work, I will happily put people up. So yeah, that'll be great.
I did want to know about Blight. I listened to you guys' discography on Spotify, and Blight definitely has like a heavier, kind of more distinguished sound than some of the past singles. Is this a direction that you guys are looking to write more into?
Well, I mean, this Blight is from a body of work that was pretty much written over COVID when we couldn't even see each other. And we went and recorded 5 tracks in total with Lewis, the guy I was mentioning earlier on. And yeah, they're definitely by far heavier than what we've done before. I would say that it's definitely what we've always wanted to write. We really like melodic hardcore. Like, our favorite band as a band is Counterparts. Yeah. Like, you know, they're great. And but we got to the point where we're like, are we just ripping them off? Like, and then like, you know, you have that discussion and you're like, and then our guitarist is like super into Slipknot and stuff. So it became like more of a like heavier riffs, like sort of style.
Yeah.
But we've sort of changed again. Like the stuff we've written and recorded, and then we've written more since then. Is like we're sort of changing our tuning, so we're going up to like drop C. So I think we're in drop A sharp or something very low. I don't know. I'm a drummer. I don't care.
Yeah, you don't need to know.
I don't need to know exactly. But now we're sort of going up into a higher tuning, and it's like more of like more of a hardcore vibe actually.
Yeah.
Like more like sort of like party hardcore, like Every Time I Die, like that sort of turnstile, like earlier turnstile, like kind of vibe.
Yeah, like Step to Rhythm era.
Yeah, but we're also retaining sort of some of the really heaviness, really big heaviness that we've got. So yeah, it's like we just kind of write what we like, and I don't know. We always don't want to be like pigeonhole ourselves into doing this one sound. But definitely this EP it's an EP. We're releasing it as singles, but it's an EP basically. 5 tracks. It's just fucking heavy. It's like, honestly, it's so heavy. Like it's not even the heaviest track. Like not
it's
to
not?
Like no, Christ no. Like there's probably I think it might be either the next one, the one after. It's a track called Sever that we'll be doing, and it is just stupid fast and like heavy, and it's got a bit more of like the chaotic hardcore style stuff in it. Blight was definitely like, oh, this will be a good single, like because it's got, you know, a nice rhythm to it. Whereas
and like the breakdown at the end where it has like the noise in between where it's like the dun 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 dun, dun. Yeah. And then you cut out the noise and it's just a snare hit in between each. I was like, bro, somebody's getting punched.
Yeah. It went down really well on tour, and we definitely felt like this was the right one to release. Like it worked well. And, you know, we've had really good feedback. And, you know, we're just really glad. We're just happy it's out and that, you know, people can finally hear it and see the video. We started shooting the video in April this year, and it was done, I don't know, in September. You know, it took a long time to get different elements done just because of COVID and stuff.
Right.
But we definitely wanted to make like more of a concerted effort to be like a real band. Like putting time into the recording, more importantly, putting money into the recording, because I don't know who needs to hear this, but being in a band is not a free hobby, unfortunately. And we just really wanted to like just take it up on another level to be, you know, once again, that cliche that everybody says, but it's true. Like, just like step it up, you know?
Yeah. Invest in yourself and invest in what you want to do. And, you know, you'll see a lot of fruition come back from that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Taking time and sometimes money to invest in your passions.
Yeah. And, you know, we made it work, so it's fine.
The video looks fucking great. I was watching the video and listening to the track and I'm like, man, this is kind of setting apart. If this is what Scottish hardcore is going to be, I'm about it. Like, this is great. I
mean, like 100% you need to check out like stuff that's in, you know, as I said, mentioned like some of those bands, Revulsion, Revolve, Vent are great, Afterburn are great. Everyone's doing something different, you know. That's another thing, you know, that I don't feel like it's just all copying each other, which is really good. Like, you know, certain scenes have like definitely the vibe, but they're not just aping what someone else has done because it's been successful, which I think is really good. And it just shows like bands are able to stand their own 2 feet, which is, you know, or 10 feet, however many members they have. But, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, make sure to go and check out the new video, Blight, and the singles up on Spotify and, you know, Apple Music and everything as well. But it's fucking heavy as shit. It made me want to kick my door of my car like off. So it was fucking awesome. So I'm super looking forward to hearing the rest of the singles on the EP.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Man, sounds fucking great. Looks great.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Cheers, man.
So I've really enjoyed speaking with you about Below the Neck and, you know, Scottish hardcore for sure. I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
I just have one last question before we go. What is your favorite city for Beans and Breakdowns?
My favorite city for Beans and Breakdowns is 100% Glasgow in Scotland. just because I've been to so many great shows there. Like by virtue of like it's where all the bands play. But I mean, even like a lot of the bands in that sort of Glasgow, Edinburgh area, like there's so many great bands. And there's a lot of really good coffee shops down there as well. You've got your hipster coffee places, as we would put in, air quotes. They're great, and it is coming out elsewhere, but up until now, it's really not been in the smaller places. So yeah, I have to say Glasgow. It's a great place. There's just, if you're ever in Scotland, go to Glasgow. And also, I live in Inverness, which is beside Loch Ness. So come and visit the Nessie and have a great time in Inverness.
You might just get some found footage of Nessie. Like you might get it on your phone and nobody will believe you, but you were there.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Definitely real. Nothing to worry about there.
That's awesome. Definitely going to have to check out Glasgow. I'll be in the UK in June for Outbreak Fest, and I'm going to be stopping.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to be stopping in Scotland. Well. Are you really?
Yeah.
Well, my wife went.
Me up.
We should. Okay, we'll talk about this in a minute. But I really appreciate you coming on the podcast on your Saturday afternoon and hanging out with me. It's been such a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It's been great. And it's a great podcast. And, the long may it continue.
Thanks so much. Have a good one.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Beans and Breakdowns. I want to say a huge thanks to Finnbar for coming on the podcast and talking to me about Scottish hardcore, the coffee collaboration, everything that's going on with them. It was such a pleasure, and I really enjoyed our time together. Make sure to check out Below the Neck's newest single, Blight. They have a video up on YouTube as well as music up on all major listening platforms, so go and show them some love. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. You can also learn more about the podcast by visiting us online at beansandbreakdowns.com or on Instagram at beansandbreakdowns. Until next week, be sure to stay caffeinated and wake the fuck up!